Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Amanda. If you like this channel, please like and subscribe. And before I get started today on just the wonderful things that have been happening in advocacy, I want to give some thank yous out there. So I would like to thank Joanna Abdullah. Thank you for sending the sleeping bag and the tuna creations. Um, those are always needed, and thank you so very much. I'd like to thank Panda for helping make sure that I have what I need, as you know, with fruits, veggies, and flowers. Um, I'd like to thank Bill Higgins for helping with the per diem for the trip to Washington, D.C. I would like to thank um, I would like to thank Michael and Janice for your donation to make sure that the trip went up without a hitch. I would like to thank Maxip Telecom for all of the tablets that were sent to go out to those in need. Um, and for right now, I think that is my list of thank yous. But as always, I want to really start with that spirit of gratitude, because it really is a community effort. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that. So, in the past 2 weeks, there's been a lot going on. Um, I went on a trip to Washington, D.C. for the National Coalition for the Homeless Leadership Conference 2023. It was absolutely amazing to see so many people from the nation with lived experience that are coming up in their fields and becoming leaders and advocates and really changing the world that we live in for the better and saving lives. It's always amazing. um, it's such a wonderful thing to connect with these people. um, thank you very much. I have to say, like, that is, thank you for being proud of me. I'm just, I'm proud to be able to use the tools that are given to me and support me and make a better world. And I think that that's really what everybody there at that conference did as well, is really converge to use their tools and their support systems to come together and really advocate and push for human rights and ending homelessness. We talked a lot about Cicero, and Cicero is a push from it's really, they say bipartisan, but it's not really a bipartisan think tank. It's definitely partisan, and it leans towards the conservative side. And the problem with that is they're using nuggets of truth, right? That it is inhumane and it isn't compassionate to leave people on our streets. However, they're solving, quote unquote, solution to the issue is also insanely inhumane. And so we have to be aware of those things and aware of like the narrative that we're expressing and how we're going to help people. There was a lot of talk about, and when I say talk, okay, yes, we're all convening and discussing and talking, but let me just tell you how that doesn't stop there. How, when we connect, we also talk about ways to grow the nonprofits that are starting, connect people within their networks to make sure that tools, supplies, and services are getting to people, how to up our capacity. We're fighting for fair wages for people and for compensating people with lived experience. Because as someone who has lived experience who comes into these spheres, most of the time it's volunteer. Very not often are organizations, they want to hear what you have to say, they want to hear your voice, they want to hear your input, but many times they either can't or are unwilling to compensate someone based on that. And that's really difficult because the people who have been through these kind of traumas, especially when they come up and they have, put their lived experience into context, are extremely knowledgeable about the ins and outs of that and what that means to the whole. And so it's imperative that we train our up and coming leaders and open these doors. And I gave a talk during this about leadership and what leadership means to me. And I was just really honored and humbled to be on the days with several leaders that have been leading in this field for decades. Um, and one of the things that I said is it's because of people like that who were leading in the right way, which means inspiring others to join the cause, showing them ways to do it, but also reaching behind you and grabbing people and pulling them up to lead, right? So part of being a good leader isn't just moving forward. It's that reaching back and gaining community and pulling people together so that we have this cohesive unit of people that are on the same page and willing to go and advocate for people to live. And and it seems always so like heightened when we talk about this and we're like life or death, but it is. And so many people in this country and around the world die not because our world can't provide for them. There's definitely the resources there. No one should be starving to death. No one should be freezing to death in the cold. And yet that happens because somehow, as human beings, we have put levels on what we believe someone deserves. And when it comes to things that can end your life if you don't have them, that's not a deserving situation. That's a human rights situation. No one should be born upon this earth and be denied the right to thrive. And that's exactly what we do when we put human needs in a capitalist mindset, right? And so I think there was a lot of ground given. It was super exciting. A lot of good work was being done. It always amazes me how many new people I run into. And I'm just like, I try to just be as welcoming as possible, right? Like, because I think that through connection is how we're going to solve these issues. And that's connecting with people who are doing the work, connecting people who want to do the work, connecting with people who are connected with others. So there's this huge, you know vast network of people doing the work, and if we all come together and connect, we can do much more. So that's what I got to say on the conference. It was amazing. Had a great time. Learned a lot. Also, I got to see one of my friends from like when I was like 18 years old, and I had not seen this person since 2002. So over 20 years, I had not seen them, and they've been just a really great friend to me throughout. And we were very lucky because it converged just so that he because he actually lives over there, so he lives over there, and I was able to come in, and we had a very great dinner and a wonderful walk around the city. It was absolutely wonderful. So there's just all of these great things, and of course seeing my other friends that I've made these wonderful connections, friendship, family. It really feels like this family coming together when we all converge. Um, just because, we just understand one another and on a very different level. So it's pretty awesome. I got back, and Pierce, and another thank you to Pierce for keeping my animals good and safe in my home in good condition while I'm gone. That is a super important thing to me, having that taken care of. So I got back, everything was lovely. The only problem when I got back, okay, so this was an issue when I was running around DC, right? So I get spurts of energy, and we'll talk a little bit about that. It's really, and I've talked with my therapist about it. So when I go to like conferences and things like that, I it's like inducing mania. So I'm bipolar. And one of the things that can happen when you get into large groups, large spheres is like manic type things, right? So I kind of induce mania knowing that after that large gathering I'm going to crash for a while, and that's okay. So I make it work for me, right? I make my mental illness work for me, and I know how that goes. And but part of that means that I'm very, very hyper, and I get these huge spurts of energy. And so we're walking around the city, and like the crosswalks are taking, like, it's got 10 seconds, and I'm like, go. And I'm racing across. Well, my friend ended up tearing his ACL, which is a ligament in his knee, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I am not a physician. But yeah, that was bad. So the universe got me back for those little spurts of energy when I got back to Seattle, because I got off the link, the train, and was crossing the street. And again, burst of energy, decided to, woo, and busted myself up. Both knees are like big bruises and scrapes, and it was pretty rough. So I ended up I ended up wrecking myself on the way home, and have been having a little bit of trouble getting around, but it'll be all right. I just have to watch when I am so hyper and full of energy, to remember to keep in my head that I am a middle-aged woman, and and we don't suddenly just burst across the street for no reason. Like, I need to care for my body, with regard to the age that my body is, even if mania can push the pain response and stuff out. Just go multiple multiplicator. I'm not sure. Multifactoring is key. Not sure. Um, John Wick team, bonjour. Um, I am just so like thrilled that everything went so well. So when I got back, Panda came by. He brought some stuff for supper. Had a great supper. And after that, then I had a event I had scheduled for one of our tiny home villages, and I stuffed my bag with the tablets for the kids on my way there. So I was able to go and get those tablets there, and also get a bunch of feedback about our Seattle transportation plan, which is huge, right? Because I do work with city departments, right? So different departments will have different um, projects and programs that they're really looking for community feedback on, and that's how we shape the growth of our city. And it's really vital to make sure that everyone is represented in that feedback and that communication. So going to tiny home villages, going to encampments, going to shelters, and making sure to say, hey, this is super important for us to get your feedback. You are a member of our community. You are my neighbor, and I care about the city that you want to live in, right? So we went, got some awesome feedback. It was truly wonderful. We even engaged a youth. They checked with their parent to make sure that they could be there and give their thoughts. But I'm sitting in there, and I'm thinking to myself, what a lovely thing, right? To engage not only people who are experiencing being vulnerable, but engaging youth who really want to have an impact in the future of their city, and doing so when they are experiencing such a large trauma, right? It was just this immediate sense of just like so much love, right? To just know that, and honestly got some amazing feedback from them. It was great. So then, of course, I get back home, and proposals need to go out by the 9th. And I think I've got about six to write. And again, I am procrastinating like nobody's business, which, which I shouldn't be, and I will get them done. But Yeah, just to keep it real there, I am definitely procrastinating a little bit. Um, there is some really great work going on at Seattle Dogs, although things are slowing down a bit. Just again, everybody is struggling and it's getting harder and harder for those to do street outreach to, gain volunteers that they need to gain, supplies right now are okay, but funding, volunteers, all of that is really lessening. And so it really impacts the ability of organizations to meet the need. And frankly, we don't have the capacity to meet all the need. We are operating under crisis standards right now. So that is what it is. But I just got off the phone with Laura, so I thought I would throw that in there because she's got some exciting stuff going on. I'm trying to think of what else is new. I have got one more trip, and on the 10th, I will be leaving for Pittsburgh, which is super exciting because the state of Pennsylvania, they have now Finding Your Way in PA, which they used our code from Shelter app to do that. So I will be going as a representative from Shelter app to show everybody our service. And, the thing is if we can really get providers to use Shelter app, we can make it so easy for those that are on our end user, which our end user would be those that are experiencing homelessness or coming into vulnerable circumstances. We want them to have access at the tip of their fingers to what is available, where it is available, and how to get it. And so many times people are pushed over to this system called like 211, which is a federal system. And when they're pushed over there, there's go here, call here, who knows? It just has, in my experience and from the experiences of many of my companions and colleagues, it just has become, it is easier for 211 and it is easier for the providers, but it is not easy for the end user, which is a person we're trying to help. So that's what Shelter App is for, because we actually care about the end user and their access and their ease of use. So we'll be going there to do that. But the exciting thing when I go to Pittsburgh as well is I will be making some connections. I don't know if you remember, but earlier in the year, I went to Atlanta to speak at the Human Rights Cities Alliance. So some of the people I met there, I will be going to speak with them a little bit. And I just wanted to put a call out right now that if you are in another country or quote unquote called member state, but if you are not in the United States, let us know who we can contact to shore up. Like, we want to solve homelessness globally. So if you have contacts that we should meet and be discussing these issues with, get a hold of me. I don't know that I put my email in the description, but I think I can put it in chat and people can see it. And I don't mind sending me an email. Let us know who we can talk to, because this is a global issue. And like I said, no one, no one on this earth deserves to die due to lack of resources. This world has them. Some people may be sitting on a pile of it, and we'll talk about that, but we want people to thrive. So I am entering, that is my email. I want to talk to you. um, Joseph Priscilla, a Panda, says everyone has a phone and having the app will save lives. It will. And that's one of the things that, we are again discussing globally is the issue of digital access. To pretend that our world has not changed into a world where that is a necessity is doing a disservice. Our world is at the point where we need access to digital means of getting things. Can we survive without it? Yeah, absolutely. But can we thrive and connect with our community in meaningful ways without having that when everything relies on it? Not really. And so that's where we're coming at and just really pushing digital access. If you go through devices and you have old devices, hand them, clear them of your information, please. Factory reset them. Let me just like plug that in there. Don't be just giving away your information. But if you have things like that and you're not sure what to do with them or it's sitting in a drawer, give that to somebody. It can make such a huge difference in their life, in the trajectory and what they're able to do. So just keep that in mind. Um, and also, there are ways in the descriptions as to ways that you can help support my cause and causes like mine, because I'm kind of, got my fingers in a lot of spheres. Let's see what else is going on. I still have tons of apples, so I'm going to be making an apple pie here soon. I was going to do so tonight, but I concentrated on I've got some vegetable broth going because I had a bunch of vegetables that needed to be used. So I'll make a good veggie broth, and then I can have that I'll freeze that up and have that for soups and stuff. Other than that, I'm kind of digging being able to be home for a while. This year has been a lot of traveling for me, and it gets hard because I was laying down thinking last night, and I was like, it feels like when I talk to people, not everyone is excited is excited to be home as me. And I think it's because, honestly, I'm so grateful to be able to even say that I'm going home, or that I get to stay at home, or that I work from home. Having a home, like a real home, not just home is where the heart is, but somewhere that's safe, somewhere that's stable, somewhere that I can take a shower and brush my teeth, or cook a meal, or make a pot of coffee at midnight. Like, that to me, I don't know. And maybe I will. Maybe after a decade, I won't be so excited anymore. But I still have this, coming after traveling, this excitement to just be home. um, so yeah, I think that, and I don't really do a whole lot of winter stuff when October hits. So around the end of October is when I kind of just shut my door, and I kind of do everything a little virtually, if I can. If there's times that I need to get out there and do stuff, I definitely do that. But for the most part, I hibernate in the winter, have my little fire going in the fireplace, and just enjoy um, having time with me and my animals. Jess, you appreciate the things really after you miss them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a feeling like none other. Just to be like, I'm gonna go home and stay home for forever, right? Like, it's definitely a vibe, and I am so grateful, and so grateful that I will dedicate my time in my life to making sure that others have the same thing, a home, a safe home, a home that meets their needs and the needs of their family. It's so important to me. I think that in this world we tend to throw away those that were in are or were born into poverty, and I find that just kind of gross, honestly. There's so much better that we could do. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my life's mission. So everybody kind of knows that anyway. I wish I had super exciting stuff to tell, but for the most part, it's just plugging away at it, doing the things that continue the work, and being super joyful, while, or trying, I guess. Again, with, you know the kind of mental illness that I have. And that's another thing I wanted to, just because it did come up at conference, and I this doesn't really fit here, but I'm going to say it I'm going to say it anyway. There is this narrative, and it's kind of coming in, and it's a little underlying, and it's really troubling to me. And I am hearing it in a lot more spheres, the everybody's mentally ill thing. And I think that um, it really is doing a disservice to those that are actually mentally ill. Um, no, not everybody has rapid cycling bipolar. Not everybody has schizophrenia. Not everybody has major depressive disorder, right? Not everybody has crippling anxiety. And I think that, you know, I understand that it's a way for people to try to get us to fit in and feel like part of it. But I feel like part of it without softening what I've gone through, right? Like it is a rough journey. It is not easy by any means to live with these kind of disabilities. But what we don't need to happen is for it to become laissez faire as if it wasn't a problem to begin with, because it is. And when I tell you that a lot of times unmedicated, untreated conditions can lead to death or hospitalization, I mean it. And it's not something that needs to be softened, and it's not something that needs to be made into a an acceptable, swallowable version. It just is. And I think that I'm going to be doing a lot more talking about, especially about bipolar and TBI, because I think that there is a general misunderstanding of the impacts that these disorders can have on one's life. Um, and I came to this during an experience at conference where I was talking to a woman who had been diagnosed in 15 minutes with bipolar. And I was like, oh, so we started, me and a couple of people who have disorders were talking about what that's like. She's like, I've never done that. Never had that happen. Never been depressed to this. Like, and just going through it, it was like, wait a second, you haven't had nothing like this. And it's like, no, it's okay. There's, I had been hearing it, but now we're started seeing it in practice, this softening and this, misunderstanding of the impacts and what these disorders look like. So yeah, some education pieces definitely need to go in there, and so I will be doing that. Be prepared. We're going to be talking about the noggin and, and impacts and all that fun stuff. Jess, so right, everybody has to carry something, but the weight is very different, right? And I do think that in a lot of spheres, we want people to feel loved and accepted and wanted, but I think we can do that without minimizing um, the weight that they carry. And so I think that's, and actually, thank you for that, because you just gave me that word, minimizing the weight that they carry. I think that's a good way to say that. Yeah, that sits right. That feels good. Thank you, Jess. You just helped me put it into words. I appreciate that. Um, so anyway, guys, that is kind of what's up in my world right now. I do want to just put a plug in here and say winter here is coming. Our winter is going to be cold. It's probably going to be snowy. People need tents and sleeping bags and ways to survive. We are like working on getting housing and transitional housing and things like that. But until that time, without those supplies, people die. So please take a look at my outreach wish list if you can spare anything. And if you can't, say that, things are real tight for you too. Here's what you can do. Spread the word. Truly. Like if you want to make a big impact, look at what's in your area. If you're in the United States, open up shelter apps, see what, providers you got. If there's providers missing, tell us to add them. If, share on social media. You can always share with people where to get food, how to, what programs are in your area to lighten utility bills, when there's going to be handouts of critical supplies. So there's always something that we can do, always. And I want to thank each and every one of you for sitting and, just sitting in community with me and listening and supporting this journey. I appreciate you all. So thank you very much. And I am going to say good night. Good night. And everybody, talk to you later. Bye.